Mic check. 1, 2. Are we recording? Hi, I'm Michelle Bernstein, an award-winning chef, restaurateur, and mom. I have a lot on my plate, including my psoriatic arthritis symptoms. That's why I was prescribed Cosentyx. It helps me move better.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for people 2 years of age and older with active psoriatic arthritis. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some were fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at 1-844-COSENTYX or Cosentyx.com.
Ask your rheumatologist about Cosentyx.
Joining us now is Lee Smith. Lee Smith is the author of the New York Times best-selling book, The Plot Against the President, which was made into one of the most impactful and hard-hitting documentaries that I have ever seen, outlining the effort to destroy the Trump presidency. He is now back with an extraordinary book entitled Disappearing the Presidency. It's a much, much broader look at the establishment attempt to not only destroy Donald Trump, the president, but destroy Donald Trump, the man. It's a very broad book. It is sweeping in its coverage. I can't put it down. I'm still not finished it. I admit it. I'm working from a galley that Lee sent me, but it is a phenomenal work of history. Lee Smith, welcome to the Roger Stone Show.
Wow, Roger, thank you so much for your super kind words about me and especially the book. And thank you so much for inviting me to speak with you and your great audience today.
Well, President Donald Trump himself said, and I quote, Lee Smith is a great American patriot who has understood from the very beginning that the radical left is the true threat to democracy. So you can have no greater compliment from the man himself. This book is amazing because it looks at every aspect of the efforts to destroy our 45th president. Your previous book, The Plot Against the President, really laid out the true story on how Congressman Devin Nunes, one of the unsung heroes in this country, uncovered the biggest political scandal in U.S. history, which, of course, has never gotten the legitimate media coverage that it deserves. But really, what you've done in this book is outline the unprecedented campaign of domestic spying, election rigging, brute force censorship, and political violence that anti-Trump zealots have used to undermine our federal government, sabotage countless other vital institutions, and, of course, pursue their relentless quest to crush Donald J. Trump. The book is nothing short of alarming. I have to ask a professional question. Lee, how long did it take you to write this book?
Well, a lot of the research, one of the things that I wanted to do with the book, Roger, is that, all of us have been asking, I guess, since 2016, what happened? And those questions have only become more important and more impassioned as time has gone on. And so what I really wanted to do was I really wanted to give a comprehensive account of what's happened over the last 8 years, how Donald Trump, his aides and supporters, including you, famously have been targeted. And I wanted to give the background, what happened to the CIA, what happened to the FBI, what happened to these agencies, what happened to the media, how did all these things transform? And so they were all turned again against Americans, against America first, against people who love the country. So that research took, that research took several months. And then the interviews also took up some time, and I got the chance to speak with some great people for the book. The top of the list, of course, is the president himself, who said some very, very moving things and very, very important things about what's happened to him over the last 8 years. So I guess I guess doing the research and reporting probably took about 4 months, and then the writing was another another several months, and I really enjoyed writing this book, explaining to people, trying to make it as clear as possible, exactly what's happened over the last 8 years and where we may be headed if we don't get it right in 2 weeks from now.
You outline how the U.S. intelligence services, trained to sabotage foreign governments and leaders, have turned their expertise and their authority against Americans. Tell us about that.
Well, Roger, actually, I was just speaking with a friend this morning who I quote in the book, a gentleman named Peter Theroux. And Peter worked at the CIA for many years, and I interview him in the book. And it's really heartbreaking because someone like Peter, who worked so hard, who's a great patriot, loves his country, liked hurting countries and actors who hurt Americans, right? Whether it's communists, whether it's Islamists, whether it's terrorists, whatever it is. And so there's a number of people who've worked extremely hard on behalf of this country. They've sacrificed a great deal. Of course, there's a number of people who have given their lives on behalf of this country. And from some of these agencies, like the CIA, like the FBI, like the NSA. And so what happened? What happened over the last, I really identify the problem beginning with Barack Obama. And so what really happened is that these agencies, these important institutions in Washington, D.C. were turned against the American people. I think, look, there's a lot of people on the right who have sort of adopted kind of a leftist attitude, and they think that the CIA is responsible for that. The CIA has only done evil things, and they're only responsible for bad things. But as I point out, the CIA started right after World War II, and they prevented Italy from going communist. And one of the people that I talked to in the book notes how terrible it would have been had Stalin been in control of Italy and therefore the Western Mediterranean. That would have been a disaster for the United States, for the free world. So the idea that our foreign intelligence services, that our domestic intelligence service, like the FBI, have been turned to serve the narrow interests of Barack Obama's faction and his affiliated oligarchs is shocking and disgraceful, and it's hurt not only Americans, but it's hurt Americans, including those Americans who've given so much to serve their country in those agencies and institutions.
One of the things you detail in the book is the effort to get Donald Trump begins in the Oval Office in a meeting with President Barack Obama himself, Vice President Joe Biden, Susan Rice, the CIA director, John Brennan, the FBI director, James Comey. This is, I hate to use the word conspiracy, but this is precisely what it is. Is, as I believe, Barack Obama the chief progenitor of the effort to destroy Donald Trump even to this day?
Yes. Look, Roger, I thought it was very important. We've been speaking for the last 8 years, you and I, and great Americans have been talking about the deep state, how the deep state turned on Donald Trump. And I've believed for some time that to refer to the protagonist as the deep state is a problem because that's an abstraction, right? We're talking about maybe tens of thousands of bureaucrats. And I think it's very important for Americans to realize that there are actual people who hold real power and who have access to vast amounts of money and who are using that money and that power to advance interest on behalf of particular people. I think it's really important to name those names and to identify those figures. And at the very top of the pyramid, as you note, is Barack Obama. And one of the things that I do in the book is I point out how all these various aspects of this multi-pronged campaign to target Trump, his aides and supporters, whether we're talking about censorship, whether we're talking about surveillance, whether we're talking about rigging elections, whether we're talking about political violence, they all have their origin point with Barack Obama. I've had a sense of this for many years. But to do the research and to dig in and to actually identify the particular moment when these campaigns kicked off and Obama's role in them, I mean, it's really kind of astonishing. And I think that it'll help readers understand what's been going on the last 8 years. And also, Roger, for us to be able to put names on it, for us to say who's behind it, it also gives us a chance to win. To say we're fighting the deep state is like saying we're going to fight the DMV. We're going to fight a huge, massive bureaucracy, and that's an unwinnable fight. And so let's get specific. Let's say who's driving this campaign against Trump, against the Republic, and let's hold them accountable.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
If you're just tuning in, folks, I'm Roger Stone, and this is The Roger Stone Show. We're talking to Lee Smith, New York Times bestselling author, about his new book, Disappearing the President. By the way, you can get that book by going to encounterbooks.com, or you can go to Amazon if you want to give money to a multinational corporation that hates your guts. And we'll be right back.
This is The Roger Stone Show. This is The Roger Stone Show, presented by Colonial Metals Group.
A man who's gone through hell, but he's kept going, and he's smart, and he's strong, and people love him. Not everybody, but people love him and respect him. Roger Stone.
Now, here's Roger Stone.
And we're back. This is The Roger Stone Show. Thank you for tuning in. We're talking to Lee Smith, the New York Times bestselling author of The Plot Against the President. And now he's back with an even more incredible book, Disappearing the President, which is really a compendium, a complete outline with a lot of documentation of the efforts by a globalist elite to not only destroy his presidency, but destroy Donald Trump, the man. Before we went to break, we were talking a little bit about the intelligence agencies, but now I'm very interested in the way the big tech firms who have controlled so much of our online discourse have been in on this effort to get Trump from the very beginning.
Right. Well, in the subtitle of the book, Disappearing the President, it's Trump, Truth Social, and the Fight for the Republic. So I explain, I mean, this book has a lot to do with big tech, and of course it also talks about the fact that Donald Trump was banished from social media after January 6, 2021. He was thrown off Facebook. He was thrown off Twitter. And in fact, the book starts with I find it a very moving interview with the president, who says, I didn't have a voice, and he needed to communicate with his people. He said he had lots of ideas that he needed to share. He wanted to share. And he had no way to communicate with people. And so it's really shocking. It's very important to remember during our conversations, as we become more and more aware of the censorship regime targeting Americans, that they went after the president of the United States, Donald Trump. And of course, one of the first people who moved to censor Donald Trump, this was in 2019, was then Senator, now Vice President and Democratic Party presidential candidate Kamala Harris, was calling to censor Donald Trump. So the big tech component is a very significant part of the operation, the Get Trump operation. And Truth Social, in a sense, the way that the president and now Truth Social CEO Devin Nunes understand Truth Social is really kind of a backstop. They're very happy, of course, that Twitter now under Elon Musk is a free speech platform. I mean, everyone's happy about that. And of course, we're happy about the support that Elon Musk has given the president. But Truth Social is really, again, the backstop for free speech. That's how they perceive it. And when Donald Trump talks about it, Truth Social, by the way, is surging. It's doing very well. It's doing very well on the market these days. And a lot of that has to do with the optimism about Trump's electoral chances in 2 weeks. But as Donald Trump has said, he has no intention to sell his Truth Social stocks because for him, even though he became a tech startup billionaire with Truth Social, the most important thing is that this is Trump's voice. So regardless of what Amazon may do, of what Apple may do, and remember these were the big tech giants that canceled Parler, the social media platform Parler. So in spite of what they may do, in spite of what happens with Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook or other big tech platforms, there is always going to be Truth Social for Donald Trump, and also not just Donald Trump supporters, but anyone who's determined to maintain and fight for free speech. So, yeah, big tech is a really big part of the book.
Yeah, I love Truth Social. I'm real Roger Stone there. I post there every day. I really love it. I get a lot of engagement, and I recommend it to folks who may, like me, be banned for life on Facebook, which I am, banned for life on Instagram, which I am, banned for life on TikTok, which isn't so bad because I don't want the communist Chinese to have everything that's in my telephone. But I love Devin Nunes. He was actually my first choice for vice president. I love J.D. Vance.
I remember you said that, and then I'm like, yeah, that's actually a great idea.
He would have been great. Now, I understand leaving Truth Social, that would be different. But once the company became public, I really thought he had a higher and greater calling. He's one of those few guys who spent a while in Congress, but never forgot where he came from, never became part of the Washington insider clique, but, he was a dairy farmer from California who never lost his roots. He's a great man, and he's done an amazing job. And I think his greatest public service lies ahead, actually.
That's very kind. Reporting that first book, Plot Against the President, Devin Nunes and I became pretty close and friends, and we went out there. My family went out there and visited his family in California. It's just so nice. I mean, it's Central Valley, California, so we're not talking about the horrible stuff that's hit so many parts of California. But it's a great farming community, dairy and fruits and vegetables and cattle. So yeah, it's very moving, and I hope that spirit comes through in this book too, because I speak with Devin Nunes a lot in Disappearing the President, and he's really one of he and Kash Patel are really, I wouldn't say voiceovers, but they kind of give direction and help point out to people the important things that have been going on in our country the last 8 years, whether it was the CIA, whether it's the FBI, whether it's the media, whether it's big tech. And now, of course, one of the fights that Devin Nunes has had is on Wall Street, getting Truth Social listed. So they can get investment and so they can grow that company. And I have Devin talking about in the book saying, boy, I had no idea that the world of finance is as dirty and as rotten as it is. But nonetheless, they're thriving over there, and just a really great bunch of guys.
Kash Patel, another great patriot and good friend of mine. Let's talk about these assassination attempts, because they are unfortunately a part of this puzzle. Pardon me for being skeptical, but particularly a man accused of trying to kill President Donald Trump at a West Palm Beach golf course. We now are told by the Department of Justice that his trial has been postponed indefinitely. because there's so much evidence against him, none of which we'll ever be able to see, of course. The man is, according to what we've been told, indigent, can't make his child support payments, has a failed business where he lives in Hawaii, but actually managed to somehow vote in North Carolina. Has visited Ukraine, not sure how he paid for that, visited a number of other European countries, posts a website online to try to recruit mercenary soldiers to fight in Ukraine. Hard for me to believe that this man, Ryan Routh, is not known to our intelligence services.
At a normal time in our great country, we would expect our federal law enforcement authorities to be as transparent as possible. After all, there have been 2 attempts on the life of the former president and the man who is likely to become the 47th president of the United States. 2 attempts on his life, and you would think that the FBI and Secret Service would be as transparent as possible to say, well, look, here's what we know. Here's what we don't know, and we're going to keep updating the American people. We know that not everyone loves Donald Trump, but it doesn't matter. He's an American. He's a former president, and people need to know what happened here.
Once again, folks, the book is Disappearing the President by Lee Smith. You can get it by going to EncounterBooks.com or any place where great books are sold. I cannot recommend this to you enough. Because it will put everything we have seen in context. Lee, I think this is going to have a happy ending in just a few days. Lee Smith, thank you so much once again for joining us on The Roger Stone Show.
Thank you so much, Roger.